You're managing, a digital crowd versus a live performance crowd, right? What are the similarities and differences that you kind of see? And, is there any mental shifts like that, you need to make?
Very, very funny question because two weeks ago I referred to a crowd in like a local venue as chat, which I would say that's the first thing I want to say is that and people laughed because I think people got it. Like some people they know, what streaming online is like. So in the footage, they were like, haha, twat chat. He called us chat.
Do you remember exactly what you said, right? Like what was the line that you said to the crowd?
Like I beatboxed and then I freestyled, for a little bit about the venue. And then I said, yo, what's up, guys? I'm Chris Songco. I like to rap. And, you can throw words at me out there, like whatever words you want to put into the chat, or I meant to say like the ether, like in terms of the space, like say it out loud. And I think some people laughed, when they heard that because, there is no chat. There is no chat in a venue. Like the chatting is happening outside. Like you can hear them in real time, which is funny.
Yeah. It could have been a joke, right? Like throw it in the chat, right? Like as a not actually taking you seriously as like throw it into the chat. It's more like seemed like it could be played off as like a musical verse.
Oh yeah, like just like throw it in the conversation, right? Yeah, like totally, totally. But yeah, I would say that's my funny like answer because it definitely happened. The big things I think to understand between live performance on Twitch versus in person is I think the idea of silence is different between the two. Just because people are silent in your Twitch chat or they're not posting a bunch of emotes or kind of writing all the time doesn't mean that they're not there. It doesn't mean that you're doing bad or that you're not doing like stellar work or things. And it also doesn't necessarily mean that like, um you're alone. I guess because there are times where, as a streamer, if nobody's talking, it can feel like low energy, right? However, the beauty of Twitch is that, unlike a real music venue, it's low maintenance. It's lower maintenance, meaning somebody could be listening and enjoying your content while they're working on a very complicated spreadsheet. But the joy that they're getting from your work is still there. They just aren't conveying it. Or somebody's maybe a little bit more soft spoken or like introverted and they don't know what to say if they wanted to participate. They just know they like being here. I think Twitch gives them an opportunity to enjoy you at the comfort level that they want for their person. In an in-person venue, like an in-person show, you don't have that as much. Like we all see situations where you're sitting in the front of a comedy show and somebody, like the comedian goes up, like you're in the line of fire. We're gonna talk about you, and you're like, ah, dang, I didn't want this. Like, I would say that's something that Twitch has, which is really refreshing. That being said, I think enthusiasm shows itself differently, which is something that I've learned. Where in a live crowd, when they laugh, you can hear the laugh. When they cheer, you can hear the cheer. When they heckle, you can hear the heckle. Whereas Twitch, everything is all typed, meaning it sounds like you're talking to yourself. It's kind of kooky, but you are actually talking to people. It's just flowing like this versus in here.
We were talking about earlier, like reading the room, physically, like when you're doing a live performance or show, you feel the energy. Like, how do you feel out that energy in a Twitch session? Because I imagine every session brings its own energy. And like in the short time that I tested out streaming games on Twitch, every session was different, right? Some days it would be like there's people that are really active. Some days it's literally just me, streaming a game, and maybe there's one or two people that are kind of lurking, but you always feel like you have to kind of like entertain if you feel like the energy is low, or like you were mentioning before, the emotes weren't necessarily coming there.
Feeling the room is an ongoing, it's just an ongoing thing that every Twitch streamer navigates and the rules will always change. Um, and even the rules, like, there aren't like hard rules. I think the closest thing to a hard rule is what you said, where, knowing that you are on camera, which means you are visible, you are seen, you are not fully, even though you're in your home, you are not like living as a person. You are living as like a little closer to like a TV show, right? And I would say that would be a big thing. I think reading the room also, I think, is you showing up so that you can, as you see people coming in who start to be regulars, you start to get to know each other, as broadcaster and community member. And from there, you can, I think, build to get better gauge of what your community is like as you show up more. But that's also contingent on you showing up enough for like a community to grow, which is where his advice to do it properly and be consistent was really important to me.
I'm curious how we talked about preparation for a live performance. What are some of the things that you do to prepare for your Twitch performances or your Twitch personality? And is it different than the stuff that you would do for a live performance, or is that mentality like similar or and or different?
Definitely pretty similar. I think, at least from my voice and my sort of, in some ways, my body being an instrument of performance, like, of like, I think, vocal warm ups definitely make me feel more ready to like tackle whatever is coming for the stream. A hard request, a freestyle attempt, anything like that. Um, the difference between this and I think a live show is that for me, a Twitch stream feels a little bit more like a residency, where if you've ever been to like a winery or like a bar where like there's a performer that's being paid to be there, they have a set planned, but there's room for conversation, there's room for commercial breaks, there's room for them to stop and start, like, right? And I think part of setting up a stream is maybe making sure that my technology is good and that like almost, at least in the Twitch world, that folks who are coming at the broadcasted time, they're being met with something, like a waiting room, like a starting soon screen, those things with like some nice music in the background. Those things really help to sort of build up this idea that like, you know, hey, we're here. We're going to do some fun things today. I'm still, preparing, but the show is starting soon, which I think is different than, I think, like a live venue where maybe you would just vocally tell everybody on the mic like, hey, we're starting real soon, or like the headliner would say that. um Technology is really important. I think making sure that the camera is working, mixers are working, OBS is playing nice, you have your alerts and your different things that pop up, they're like in the right place. That takes a big part of like the 30 minutes before a stream starts. Is
Got it. So do you have like a checklist that you kind of go through that like you check? I don't know if it's like a document or you just list everything out. It's just like OBS check, mic check, right? Like, is there like the kind of, set checklist that you prepare for yourself?
I should have a checklist. I do not though. Like, as in, I don't have like an explicit one. I think it would be an amazing thing to have, um, just in general. But for me, I think I've done it long enough. I've been streaming for about like I would say almost 4 years, where I think I just know when something is wrong and when I need to like address it. Mental checklist would be, is the looper, can the looper loop, as in can it make the beat that's playing over and over again. Can you hear the guitar, like the like if I turn this up and I strum my guitar, is it actually connected, right? um Camera, my camera is finicky, like, the hatch that holds the battery sometimes wiggles the battery out. Like, these are things that you just kind of learn, like, okay, I just got to mentally be like prepared for that.
Yeah, like you said, you probably are already really used to it, and And if something goes wrong, I'm assuming you probably have backups or you have contingency plans on stuff. And I'm sure Stream is probably really understanding of like technical difficulties probably happen.